Disturbing new sex abuse and cover-up allegations have come to light implicating New York Archdiocese Vocations Director Father George Sears, then Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio, and New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan. Father Sears, who was vice rector and later rector of Cathedral Seminary House of Formation in Douglaston, New York from 2015 to 2021, stands accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting a seminarian under his authority. The seminarian alleges that Sears began to exploit him after his first semester at Cathedral Seminary. According to the seminarian, while the other seminarians were away for Christmas break, Sears ordered him to vacate his room in the seminary residence and relocate to an isolated room adjacent to Sears' office. The seminarian states that when he questioned the sudden move, he was given no explanation other than that it was an order he must follow under penalty of disobedience. The isolated room, according to the seminarian, became a nightmare prison of constant abuse over the course of nearly 8 months. Sears allegedly entered his locked bedroom frequently and unannounced to make relentless, unwelcome sexual advances, often at night while other seminarians were in their rooms by the 10 p.m. curfew. The seminarian maintains that Sears would sit on his bed, touch him under his clothes, and put his hand inside the seminarian's underwear to touch his privates. The seminarian asserts that he rejected these advances by telling Sears, quote, "You are a gay, and I am not a gay, and, quote, you're not supposed to come in my room without permission." These objections allegedly infuriated Sears, who the seminarian says was, quote, very aggressive. The seminarian states that he would force himself to stay awake at night out of fear that Sears would molest him while he was asleep. Sears reportedly would remind the seminarian of his power over him, order him to stay in his room, and direct him not to speak, eat, or pray with anyone else in the seminary. According to the seminarian, when he questioned Bishop DiMarzio about these peculiar orders, DiMarzio directed him to obey whatever Sears told him to do. The seminarian states that he came to realize that these orders were nothing more than a control tactic to keep him from seeking help and telling others about the alleged abuse. The seminarian also details episodes of what he says happened to him on occasions he tried to leave his room. The seminarian states that these attempts met with an intimidating response from Sears, who allegedly forcibly pulled the seminarian toward himself and reprimanded him for disobeying the order to stay in his room. Believing that he could trust the church to act upon the matter, the seminarian states that he reported the alleged abuse to church leaders on multiple occasions. According to the seminarian, he reported to then Bishop DiMarzio allegations that Sears was an active homosexual, that Sears would enter his room late at night to assault him, and that the seminarian feared for his safety. The seminarian states that DiMarzio's response was to try to convince him that he was simply misinterpreting Sears' alleged actions. The seminarian also wrote to Pope Francis, only to be met with no response. The seminarian maintains that after he reported Sears, Sears became even more aggressive. The alleged abuse is said to have escalated during the seminary's summer break, while the seminarian was dining by himself in the refectory. According to the seminarian, Sears sat next to him, who was seated alone, forcibly squeezed his privates, and commanded him to obey whatever Sears demanded because of his authority as rector. The seminarian states that Sears also told him that then Bishop DiMarzio no longer wanted any contact with him, putting an end to any possibility for the seminarian to continue to report the alleged ongoing abuse. According to the seminarian, this alleged incident prompted him to file a criminal police report. The seminarian states that he realized there would be no protection for him in the church and feared Sears would escalate the alleged assaults even further. The seminarian maintains that the police report only further enraged DiMarzio and Sears. 2 days later, according to the seminarian, DiMarzio and Sears retaliated by having him forcibly evicted from the seminary and thrown into the street. The seminarian recounts that police officers on the scene told him that there were no charges against him, but they were simply following instructions from DiMarzio to take him away. The seminarian's case has since drawn support and corroboration from other Douglaston seminarians. In 2023, Cathedral Seminary House of Formation was forced to close its doors. Cathedral Seminary joins numerous other seminaries that faced closure amid sexual scandals. Despite the grave serial sexual predation accusations against Sears, Cardinal Timothy Dolan promoted him to become the New York Archdiocese's Vocations Director. To this day, Sears remains in authority over other vulnerable young men like the alleged abuse victim. The Douglaston Seminarian's case is not the first time Bishop DiMarzio and Cardinal Dolan confronted sexual scandals. DiMarzio himself is accused of sexually abusing 2 victims who maintain that Cardinal Dolan and the Vatican whitewashed the allegations. DiMarzio's 2 alleged victims have taken their fight for justice to the courts. Dolan has a documented decades-long history of burying sex abuse allegations, retaliating against whistleblowers, and keeping accused priests in ministry. The accusations against Sears fit a pattern of numerous other bishops, seminary superiors, and vocation directors who are accused of abusing their power over seminarians. A 250-page independent report released in 2021 identifies over 40 seminaries and dioceses where sex abuse, cover-ups, and reprisals are alleged to have taken place in recent years alone. Revealing the causes of rising sex abuse cases across Catholic seminaries, the report cites expert analysis of why seminarians are so prone to abuse by their superiors. Former Special Agent in Charge McCabe points out that, quote, adult vulnerability can be of a physical, social, economic, or environmental nature, which is compounded by the power seminary and church leaders wield over seminarians. Additionally, seminarians per se are afforded no specific protections under the Church's Code of Canon Law, and they are entirely dependent upon their bishops and superiors to achieve ordination. Seminary and church leaders also present themselves as authority figures who induce seminarians into a relationship of total reliance, trust, and submission. Consequently, McCabe notes that a seminarian's vulnerabilities can be easily exploited by superiors for ulterior motives. A vast majority of abuse cases involve seminary superiors targeting seminarians who are perceived as vulnerable, lack a family support system, come from poor socioeconomic backgrounds, or struggle to navigate the country's language or legal system. Owing to the silence of complicit church leaders, sex abuse experts lament that lay Catholics may never know the extent of the excruciating abuse many seminarians have endured to try to serve them as priests. Victims advocates urge Catholics who truly wish to pray for vocations to demand that seminarians be protected from clerics who may be preying on vocations.